Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins are once again the talk of the NFL, and not just because of their explosive offense or unpredictable defense. This time, it's about potential trades swirling around some big names on the roster, and it's ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano stirring the pot with fresh insider buzz. According to their latest reporting, edge rusher Jaelan Phillips, young running back Jalen Wright, and even superstar wide receiver TYREEK Hill could all be discussed in trade scenarios before the NFL deadline. While it's still speculation, the whispers have grown loud enough that fans, analysts, and front offices are beginning to wonder just how much Miami is willing to shake up its future. For a team that has struggled to find consistency and capitalize on its bursts of talent, this kind of speculation feels like more than smoke. It feels like the front office is genuinely preparing for potential change. Let's start with Jaelan Phillips, because this one feels like the most logical and yet also the most heartbreaking scenario for Dolphins fans. Phillips was a 2021 first-round pick, seen as a cornerstone piece of the defense, the kind of athletic edge rusher that could terrorize quarterbacks for years. But injuries have plagued his career. First the ACL, then the Achilles. And those are the kinds of setbacks that take not just a physical toll, but also a mental one. Coming into this season, the hope was that he could bounce back, regain that first step burst, and prove that he could be a long-term fixture in Miami. Instead, through 3 games, the whispers are that he might have lost a step. If you're Miami's front office, the hard question becomes, do you double down and pay him in hopes of a rebound? Or do you cash in now while he still has value to other teams desperate for pass rushing help? Dan Graziano nailed it in his commentary when he said Phillips is one of Miami's most attractive potential trade chips. He's in the final year of his rookie deal, and barring a huge in-season turnaround, it's tough to imagine the Dolphins offering him a long-term extension. Miami could let him walk and take the compensatory pick down the road, but that would mean waiting until the 2027 draft for a return, and let's be real, no front office wants to play the waiting game when they could snag a 2026 draft pick or even a package deal right now. For teams like the Jaguars, the Rams, or even the Ravens, who are always looking for edge depth, Phillips could be seen as a low-risk, high-reward option. If he rediscovers his form in a new system, he could be a game-changer. And for Miami, it's about maximizing value at the right time instead of holding on too long. Then there's Jalen Wright, the running back who came into the league with a lot of buzz, but has quickly found himself buried on Miami's depth chart. When the Dolphins traded up in the 2024 draft to select him, giving up a 2025 third-rounder to land him in the 4th, it looked like a smart, aggressive move to add youth to the backfield. But the story hasn't unfolded the way anyone expected. Wright barely saw the field as a rookie, and this year, things have only gotten worse. With Devon Achane carving out a clear role and Ollie Gordon leapfrogging him on the depth chart, Wright has slid to the number 3 spot. That's never a good sign, especially when training camp and preseason reports suggest he struggled to impress the coaching staff. Jeremy Fowler connected the dots to Kansas City, and it makes a lot of sense. The Chiefs are still searching for a reliable run game to complement Patrick Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't lived up to his draft billing, and while Isaiah Pacheco has been solid, they could use more depth and a spark. Wright might not be a plug-and-play starter, but for Kansas City, adding a young, controllable back with upside could be worth the gamble. From Miami's perspective, trading right now is about admitting the mistake early and recovering some draft capital. They already spent big on Achane and Gordon, and with so many holes elsewhere on the roster, it doesn't make sense to keep a third-string back who isn't developing as hoped. But let's be honest, the name that gets everyone's attention is TYREEK Hill. Every time a rumor surfaces about Hill being on the move, fans either panic or roll their eyes. But this time, it comes with a slightly new twist. Fowler mentioned the Steelers as a potential suitor, with Mike Tomlin possibly considering a bold move to add Hill to Pittsburgh's offense. Just the thought of TYREEK Hill lining up in black and gold is wild enough. But it does raise an interesting question. Is there a scenario where Miami would actually part ways with their most electrifying player? On one hand, Hill is still the engine that makes Miami's offense terrifying. His speed opens up everything for Tua Tagovailoa, forces defenses to play honest, and creates opportunities for the entire offense. Trading him would be like ripping the heart out of the playbook. On the other hand, Miami has to look at the bigger picture. Hill's contract is massive, and with his age creeping up, you can see why some executives might think about cashing out now while his value is sky high. Pittsburgh would benefit immediately, no question, but the more logical destination still feels like Kansas City. A reunion with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Travis Kelce would instantly make the Chiefs' offense terrifying again, and you can bet Hill himself would relish the chance to go back to where his legend began. The common thread in all of these rumors is that Miami seems to be at a crossroads. They have talent, they have flashes of greatness, but they also have inconsistencies, injuries, and financial questions looming. General Manager Chris Grier has shown he's not afraid to make aggressive moves, whether it's in the draft or on the trade market. And with the deadline approaching, the Dolphins could be one of the most active teams in the league. Trading Phillips, Wright, or even Hill wouldn't just be about reshaping the roster for this year. It would be about recalibrating for the next 2 or 3 years, making sure the team doesn't get stuck in mediocrity. For Dolphins fans, this is an emotional roller coaster. On one side, you don't want to lose a guy like Phillips, who embodies so much potential, or Wright, who hasn't even had a fair chance yet, or especially Hill, who has been the face of Miami's explosive identity. On the other side, you know the NFL is a business, and holding on to players too long can set a franchise back for years. It's the delicate balance between loyalty and strategy, and Miami's front office is walking that tightrope right now. The truth is, trade rumors always heat up around this time of year, and not every whisper turns into reality. But when insiders like Fowler and Graziano are putting names out there, it's not just smoke. It's usually coming from real conversations happening in front offices around the league. Whether Miami ultimately decides to pull the trigger or not, the fact that these discussions are even happening tells us everything we need to know. This is a franchise evaluating itself honestly, asking the hard questions, and preparing for every possibility. So as we inch closer to the trade deadline, all eyes will be on Miami. Will they shock the league by moving on from a big name like Hill? Will they quietly send Phillips to a contender and stockpile draft picks? Will Wright get a fresh start somewhere else, maybe even with Mahomes in Kansas City? Whatever happens, one thing is certain. The Dolphins are at the center of the NFL's rumor mill once again, and the decisions they make in the next few weeks could define not just this season but the next several years of the franchise. For fans, it's time to buckle up, because the ride is about to get wild. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? It seems the sun is setting on Tyreek Hill's era in Miami, and the murmurs have grown too loud to ignore. Insiders say the decision has already been made behind closed doors, a quiet, almost cinematic moment in the Dolphins' offices that no camera has captured yet. It's the kind of move that shakes locker rooms, shifts fan allegiances, and makes social media explode with speculation. Hill, the electric speedster who once seemed untouchable, is reportedly preparing to pack his bags, leaving behind the teal and orange, and sending shockwaves through Miami and beyond. The whispers began months ago, subtle at first, quiet enough to be dismissed as typical NFL rumor mill chatter. But in the past few weeks, the volume has steadily grown, until now it's almost deafening. From the front office to the coaching staff, sources claim the sentiment is unanimous. It's time to part ways. Whether it's contractual disagreements, philosophical differences about the direction of the team, or simply the desire to start fresh, no single source can confirm every detail, but the pattern is unmistakable. Hill, once hailed as the heartbeat of the Dolphins' offense, now finds himself at the center of a dramatic shift in the franchise's trajectory, a decision that will redefine the team for seasons to come. Speculation has always been a part of sports, but this feels different. This isn't just a player moving teams. This is an era ending, a chapter closing that fans weren't fully prepared to see come to a conclusion. Hill's highlights, the plays that made stadiums roar and highlight reels go viral, feel almost like relics now, treasured memories in a city suddenly facing the reality that its top weapon may no longer be part of the game plan. The energy Hill brought, those blistering sprints, the impossible catches, the late-game heroics, will be remembered, certainly, but the undercurrent now is one of inevitability. The Dolphins, sources say, have been quietly strategizing for a transition, thinking about cap space, draft picks, and the opportunity to restructure the team around younger talent. In the NFL, nothing lasts forever, and even the brightest stars eventually face the harsh truth that their time in one place can't stretch indefinitely. Hill's contract was always a subject of discussion, his performance under constant scrutiny, yet he remained a superstar in a league that thrives on star power. But the insiders insist that the decision wasn't just financial or performance-based. It's a matter of timing, of philosophy, of a front office that believes change, even when painful, is necessary for long-term success. Sources close to the team hint at a mixture of relief and sadness in the locker room. Teammates who once looked to Hill as an inspiration are reportedly bracing for the change, while coaching staff members weigh the potential benefits against the undeniable loss. There's a human side to this story, too, one that often gets overshadowed by headlines and highlight reels. Hill has been more than just a player. He's been a symbol, a figure that fans rallied behind. The announcement of his exit, though not yet official, has already set social media ablaze, with speculation about where he might land next dominating fan conversations and analyst debates. The rumor mill is spinning. Some suggest a return to a team where his skills could be maximized in a new offensive scheme. Others think he might find himself in a market hungry for star power and desperate for a playmaker capable of shifting games in a single snap. Every possibility feels plausible because Hill's talent has always been the kind that transcends systems, a rare combination of speed, agility, and instinct that forces defenses to reconsider their strategies. It's not just about Miami losing a wide receiver. It's about the identity of the team itself. Hill was central to the Dolphins' offensive philosophy, the cornerstone around which plays were designed. Removing him from that equation doesn't just create a vacancy on the roster. It forces a philosophical recalibration. How do you replace someone who can change a game in one stride, who can turn the tide of a playoff contest with a single, electrifying catch? Coaches, fans, and analysts alike are all asking the same question. What comes next? The front office reportedly believes in bold moves, in shaking up the roster to create something new and unexpected. Hill's departure, while painful in the short term, could signal the start of a strategic pivot that aims to balance youth, depth, and a more diversified offensive approach. The timing of this move, insiders suggest, was deliberate. Waiting too long could have cost the Dolphins leverage in trade negotiations or risked disrupting team chemistry in less controllable ways. By making the decision now, the organization positions itself to be proactive, to shape the narrative rather than react to it, and to prepare for a future where they are no longer defined by one player, no matter how extraordinary. Rumors about potential destinations for Hill are already proliferating. Teams known for high-octane offenses and the willingness to take risks with star talent are reportedly circling, aware that a player of his caliber doesn't become available often. The NFL landscape is already rife with speculation. Will he land with a team looking for an immediate boost to their Super Bowl chances? Or will he gravitate to a franchise with long-term potential where his presence can catalyze growth over several seasons? Analysts are debating the trade value, the draft picks that might be involved, the salary cap gymnastics required, and the ways Hill's arrival could shift divisional dynamics. Every angle is being considered, every possibility dissected, because the ripple effects of this move could extend far beyond Miami. The trade of a player like Tyreek Hill isn't just a transaction. It's a seismic event in the league, one that influences draft strategy, team morale, fan engagement, and even the broader media narrative around the NFL. Meanwhile, fans in Miami are grappling with mixed emotions. The initial shock is palpable, a blend of disbelief and frustration, yet beneath it lies a grudging acknowledgement of the realities of professional sports. Tyreek Hill was electrifying, unpredictable, and, for many, the defining feature of the Dolphins' offense. Losing him will leave a void that won't easily be filled. Social media posts are already filled with tributes, gifs of his greatest moments, and heated debates about whether the move is smart or short-sighted. Pundits, too, are weighing in, some praising the decision as forward-thinking, others questioning whether the team is sacrificing immediate competitiveness for a speculative future payoff. It's the kind of controversy that fuels sports commentary, late-night debates, and fan forums alike. Ensuring that Hill's exit will be a story that reverberates long after the ink on his contract is metaphorically, or literally, off the page. At the heart of it, this is about more than just football. It's about change, evolution, and the sometimes harsh reality of professional sports. Players come and go, teams rebuild, and the league moves forward with relentless pace. Yet some departures hit harder than others, and Tyreek Hill's reported exit from Miami feels like one of those moments. It's a reminder of the fleeting nature of sports glory, of how quickly heroes can become memories, and how the narratives of teams and cities are forever shaped by the comings and goings of their stars. Whether Hill lands somewhere new and continues to electrify crowds, or whether this marks the beginning of a more gradual winding down of one of the league's most dynamic talents, the fact remains. Miami is moving on, and the Dolphins' chapter with Hill at the center is drawing to a close. Rumors, of course, are just the beginning. But for now, the consensus among insiders is clear. Tyreek Hill will no longer wear the Dolphins' uniform, and the reverberations of that decision are already being felt in every corner of the NFL. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.